As mentioned before, baby, I think I may have been slightly wrong about why we're going to be giving the boot to Maduro sooner than later. Do you realize that over 10% of our Navy is in the Western Hemisphere right now, specifically the Caribbean? I'm not talking about docked at Norfolk. I'm not talking about waiting to be deployed somewhere off California. I'm talking about in them waters, whether in the Caribbean themselves and international waters in the Atlantic. But they are poised and ready and all have been sucked up and put under the command of U.S. Southern Command. Baby, I'm telling you, I don't think we're ready for what's about to happen in the Western Hemisphere. I really don't think people are thinking about just what this could mean overall. I really do believe it is about those minerals. It's about that oil. And it doesn't matter what the President Nicolas Maduro tries to do. I think that we're going in and we're going for everything. 10% of the Navy in one place. Now over 10,000 troops that we know of, at least one submarine, multiple different vessels. The largest ship within our Navy, the Gerald Ford, is on its way there from the Mediterranean. If you don't think we're going for regime change, you must be smoking some stuff. Trump says that they plan on doing land strikes against alleged drug traffickers in Venezuela. Do y'all really believe that that's all it takes? Imagine this. Imagine tomorrow Venezuela shows us some comprehensive plan to get rid of Trinidad Alagra, or however you say it, and they're going to stop people from illegally pushing drugs from their country, although fentanyl doesn't come from their country. But I'm just saying, let's just say they come up with some crazy plan. They're going to let DEA in their country. They're going to let CIA if they want to be in there. They're going to let anybody and their mama down there to stop drugs. You think we're going to pull our entire Navy out of that area just instantly? No. I mean, literally, Nicolas Maduro said that he would be willing to give up mineral rights, access to oil, just the whole kit and caboodle to the U.S. president. And President Trump basically said, of course he said that, because they don't want to F around and find out and mess around with the United States military. Earlier this month, President Trump confirmed that he had authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations in Venezuela. So we're saying we're going to do some land operations in Venezuela. Now he's saying that he's authorized the CIA to do covert stuff in Venezuela. I'm telling y'all, it's about that oil, baby. And let me say, if that is true, if we are going to be trying to take out Nicolas Maduro, whether from giving power to someone within to rise and to just do a internal coup themselves, or if we have to use any of these troops that are, Green Berets, Delta Force, CIA, whoever inside the country, that is what I believe that we are staging for. Think about this. Put on your thinking cap. Use your brain housing group. Though Venezuela holds the largest crude oil reserves in the world. I'm talking about they got more than Saudi Arabia, who got that money. They got more than Canada, who got that money. And not only does Venezuela have the largest oil reserve, but after you refine it, they get the cleanest oil after the refinement process. They're also less than 1 day shipment away from America. We're already, getting into it with Canada and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, Oman, all those folks. It takes 30 days to get oil from over there. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just be like, boom, right there in the mix? We have the oil. And although Venezuela said they're willing to give up all their rights to the president, to United States for that stuff, I don't think it's that simple, because here's the thing. In 1976, Venezuela kicked out our oil companies, Shell, Exxon, BP, all those billion-dollar companies who actually tapped the oil. They took it over, and now the country under socialism is in charge of the petroleum and the crude oil, and they've been in charge of it for decades. So just simply saying that you're going to give access to Exxon or to BP or Shell doesn't seem to be enough for the United States, because at the end of the day, it just takes the next regime to come in and say, nah, actually, never mind. We want control of our stuff all over again. And I don't think that we're just simply there in that area just to fight drugs. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. I think it's a show of force to show what we're capable of doing with all the stuff that's going down there in the area. You see all that oil they got down there. And we say that we are fighting drugs, but the warships off the Venezuela coast, in my opinion, it tells a bigger story. I don't think we're there just to find ships that can't make it to Miami. I don't think it's that simple. OK, and if we think it's that simple, I got a bridge to sell you. And the biggest thing is, listen to what President Trump said in 2023. He's no longer president. Listen to what he said about Venezuela oil.
Perhaps we would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
So all that oil right next door, saying that we were on the brink of taking it, brink of getting it. The thing is that this can, if there does become kinetic activity beyond taking out ships in international waters, this can disrupt our entire Western hemisphere. Not only from our treasures, once again, going to a war when we're supposed to be, peace all the time, but also I think number one, we're going to try to do regime change from within. Number two, we're going to try to, maybe CIA teach some folks how to do some stuff. But even if we try to regime change from within, you take out the head of the snake. Sometimes they're able to grow another head. Not really, but somebody's right there to take over and be another baby Nicolas Maduro. So that might not work. So the second way we would love to do it is via offshore strikes, airstrikes. Strikes from a naval vessel. We find out where he is. We take out the entire compound. Whoop-de-freaking do. But that still can be just like number one, right? So if CIA, let's say number one is CIA trains some folks to be operatives. They take them out. Somebody could rise up and be another baby Nicolas Maduro. Option two, we do a kinetic strike, whether from air, whether from sea, whatever. Someone else can rise up and take over. The third option is the one that I think that we have all the troops in the area for. I'm talking the Navy bombarding the coast, and we are literally sending in Marines, Green Berets, showing folks how to fight from the country from within. And that's when we take heavy casualties for the United States, because they're not a very capable military, but it's not Iraq. This is not, dry desert land. This is jungles. And that is why you see so much training right now with the Marines in the Army and Panamanian forces in the Panamanian jungle. They are training for that possibility. This is just my opinion. I don't have any insight. But when you got somebody like freaking Lindsey Graham who gets bricked up at the thought of going to war saying stuff like this, I think I'm closer to being right than not.
The examples you're citing also involved ground troops. You said time for Maduro to go.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like regime change. Are you talking about troops on the ground?
I'll let the president speak to that. I'm talking about a briefing that would expand military operations potentially from the sea to the land.
Yes, that sea to the land. I just talked about that. And they're already forecasting little things that they think can be done.
It is time for Maduro to go. It was time for Ortega to go. The Monroe Doctrine has been robustly applied by President Trump. So these military assets are moving forward to deal with a country that's got blood on its hands when it comes to Americans by flooding our country with drugs from Venezuela and Colombia. So I hope Maduro would leave peacefully, but I don't think he's going to stay around much longer. I think President Trump is tired of Venezuela being used as a staging platform to. Although
fentanyl's not coming from there, they got that coca, baby. They got other drugs that's coming up from down there. But the bigger point is that when we're saying to ourselves that we're hoping that Nicolas Maduro just leaves peacefully, he mentioned Ortega, and you remember, everything that went down with that in 1989 in Panama and how we brought him to justice and stuff like that. They're already talked about the Monroe Doctrine, everything that has happened in the Western Hemisphere in the last 50 years. They're alluding to that. What do we not believe is going to happen sooner than later when it comes to stuff like that? Let me give you another example. Why I know it's about that oil, baby, is because other countries are jeopardizing their access to Venezuelan energy and oil. We already buy a lot of Venezuelan oil. OK, they would sell more to us if need be. But other countries are jeopardizing their access to that oil. Venezuela suspends Trinidad and Tobago's gas accord over U.S. warship visit. Caracas asserts that the U.S. actions in the Caribbean are a military threat and are meant to steal its oil, baby. That's what I just said, right? And Trinidad and Tobago allowed U.S. warship to dock. You could literally see. I've been in Trinidad. My father-in-law lives in Venezuela. Depending on how far up you are, you can see the countries. You can see Trinidad and Tobago. You can see Venezuela. Depends on how clear the skies are, all that type of stuff. Imagine you're in the perfect place in Venezuela and you look at your little neighboring island country and you see a U.S. warship and they say, oh, we're just there to get it. We're just painting, you know what I'm saying? Knock off a little rust. You know what I'm talking about? No. If you're willing to give up and jeopardize your energy agreement with a powerhouse country where you're getting fuel literally within less than a day to help the United States, you see the writings on the wall. And that is why I believe that this gets bigger than we expect. And for me personally, the Trump administration says that it's given 7 classified briefings to Congress on U.S. military boat strikes. And I don't think this matters. I think that they're giving briefings to this senior foreign relations committee, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, both of them in the Senate and in the House. I think they're giving those briefings. They're talking about, we took out some drug boats, but I don't think they're briefing about what they're about to do. And if this is true, anytime we go to war, it cost us money. Now, Venezuela was a huge partner for us during World War II. They provided the most oil for us when we shifted a lot of our factories from building baskets to building tanks in 155s and building other artillery, getting our armor and all that stuff over there to Europe for the fight. Venezuela was a key partner in that, but they went from being a partner to a socialist country. And it does not matter what they're willing to give up. If you're not willing to get up out of there with a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head, CIA's in the country, I think that sooner than later, we're going to have to think about what it could mean if once again we're at war, and this time it's in the Western Hemisphere. I fear that the first two don't work, which is from within. And think about the opposition leader. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She dedicated it to President Trump. She touts President Trump for his choice to send warships off the coast. She believes that the 1976 socialistic takeover of oil was a mistake. She wants to give access back to companies like BP and Shell. America already has the perfect person who, once Nicolas Maduro is gone, who will come in and be the leader of the country. But give us that oil, baby. Tell me that you don't think that this could influence anything that we have going on in this area. From your prep, access immediately to that oil could be jeopardized. Hopefully we don't have to worry about not only our treasure once again going into another foreign affair, but our assets when it comes to our actual defense industrial complex or the artillery that we're using. But our most precious asset, which is troops. Our most precious asset, which is the troops that are on the ground, and they're doing all this stuff and they're trying to make different things happen. Those are the type of things that I think about. I mean, they are doing this training as we speak all over the place. We look here, we see that combined jungle operations training course, react to contact mission. We have Marines that are in Panama. We have Marines that are training. They're learning how to navigate different jungle areas. And we're showing Venezuela our capabilities in these areas. We're showing via literal, videos on our websites, our capabilities in this area. And the fact is that we will be ready to rock and roll. In my personal opinion, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm worried about, the price of anything that's related to oil for me, gas, anything for energy production, that type of stuff does concern me. But do I want to be in more kinetic activity after 20 years of GWAT? And then we take a break from that. And of course, we would love to have that Iranian oil, but Iran ain't really nobody to mess with right now. But with Venezuela, I feel like we might make Venezuela our bitch. Last thing I want to talk about is The crazy thing is that I talked to my father-in-law who currently lives in Venezuela. And for him, he told me that it is life as usual for people that live there. OK, so I don't want to completely disclose or show his messages, because I believe that the Venezuela government is looking at his messages. He sends me messages. He unsends them. I think that they're monitoring the internet, but they're concerned about the warships off the coast. And for the most part, they would love Nicolas Maduro to be gone. Nicolas Maduro has a lot of support, but there are people within the country where he attacked the Secret Service. The Secret Service in Venezuela is similar to our FBI. And he attacked them, where my father-in-law had to go to Trinidad and Tobago for years out of fear for losing his life. And he was just trying to do service to his country. And so there are people who are a little bit excited, who are a little bit worried, but they're really just following their everyday lives. Most Venezuelans make less than $100 USD a month. So this type of change is something that a lot of them see it could be a possibility to opening American tourism, us being able to go down there. Right now, they only have Europeans that are doing tourism, but they're not coming right now because there's a bunch of warships off the coast. So they're concerned. They're hoping this is over sooner than later. So I got word from people on the ground, people from outside. But I want to know what you think. Comment down below. Do you think that this could influence anything that you're preparing, anything for kinetic activity, anything when it comes to our troops? Do you think that Nicolas Maduro is going to go on his own? Do you think he's going to go to Russia or Iran or China or Cuba? Maybe not Cuba. That would be stupid. But I think there's a possibility he does go to Russia. I mean, literally just the other day, a Russia cargo jet, a huge one, landed in Venezuela to show you that they still have relations with Russia. So that's always a possibility. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.